And this son of the Israelitish woman and a man of Israel strove together in the camp. And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, Hittites, and Amorites, and Perizzites, and Hivites, and Jebusites. And they took their daughters to be their wives, and gave their daughters to their sons.
David's great-grandmother was Rahab, a Canaanite. David's grandmother's name was Ruth. Ruth was a Moabite. According to the Pictorial Bible Dictionary, the Moabites were Canaanites. We know that David was black. Let's look at the scripture.
So Jesse sent for him. He was dark and handsome, with beautiful eyes. And Yahuwah said, "This is the one, anoint him." And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth and ruddy and of a fair countenance.
So how scholars have muddied things up is by using this word ruddy. When you see this term ruddy, folks like to describe it as a red person or a white person when their cheeks turn red. But that's not the case. Ruddy or red in these examples is of a dark brown and reddish color mixed together. There are many black people who are called red.
Dear Red, if you're reading this, you've gotten out.
Get up slowly. Hey, what? No funny business now.
Red, jig is up.
Let's look at the example of a red cow. Does this look like a white cow that's blushing with red? Like they're trying to describe about a white person? No, this is the example of a red black person, of a ruddy person. Let's look at Solomon. Solomon was the son of David. His mom was a Hamitic woman named Bathsheba. Bathsheba means daughter of Sheba, which perhaps reflects her tribal roots. In Genesis 10:7, Sheba is listed in Ham's family. Bathsheba was married to Uriah the Hittite, which is a Canaanite, which is a descendant of Ham.
And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, Hittites, and Amorites, and Perizzites, and Hivites, and Jebusites.
Solomon is described in scriptures as black.
My lover is dark and dazzling, better than 10,000 others. His head is finest gold, his wavy hair is black as a raven.
Some Hamites were leaders amongst the Israelites.
The word of Yahuwah which came unto Zephaniah, the son of Cushi. A meditation of David, which he sang unto Yahuwah, concerning the words of Cush the Benjamite.
And if you go back in the scriptures, the Israelites, the Hebrews, were always mistaken for Egyptians or Hamites. Let's look at where Moses was mistaken for an Egyptian.
Then the shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock. When they came to Reuel their father, he said, "How is it that you have come so soon today?" And they said, "An Egyptian delivered us from the hand of the shepherds, and he also drew enough water for us and watered the flock."
Moses grew up as an Egyptian. He was adopted by Pharaoh's daughter when her maidens pulled him out of the water. He was educated by the Egyptians. Joseph became one of the highest ranking officials in Egypt. How could these Shemitic people rise to these high ranks in the Egyptian kingdom if they didn't look like them? Think about it. Even Paul was mistaken for an Egyptian.
Then as Paul was about to be led into the barracks, he said to the commander, "May I speak to you?" He replied, "Can you speak Greek? Are you not the Egyptian who some time ago stirred up a rebellion and led the 4,000 assassins out into the wilderness?"
Even in the New Testament, it talks about Simon, the black apostle.
Simon the Canaanite and Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him.
The evidence is overwhelming. The Hebrews mixed and intermingled with the descendants of Ham, black people. So logically, we can conclude that they were people of color, not white, not red.
Egypt was an amazing
No,
civilization.
I
It
didn't
was
say-
not created by black Africans. I'm sorry.
It wasn't. Who created it?
People who are white. Actually,
First of all, the greatest genius when it came to the building of the pyramids, do you know what
those are white people, by the way.
Who are white people?
The Egyptians are not African. I'm sorry.
Do you know where Egypt is?
Yes, it's in
Where?
North Africa.
Many of the early archaeologists came to the study of ancient Egypt and ancient Nubia from the perspective of Semitic languages or the study of the Hebrew Bible. And it was very important to them to bring Egypt specifically into the sphere of biblical studies. And so they had to carve Egypt away from Africa to bring it into that sphere. And the way that they did that was they used race. So these early archaeologists effectively made ancient Egypt white in the sense that they made it part of a dominant Western culture, and ancient Nubia was separated from that. It was black. And this was how they took Egypt out of Africa and put it into this Semitic sphere, this biblical sphere.
Mama, how do we know Jesus wasn't black? He could have been from the lost tribe of Israel. They were supposed to be black.
I bet they were. If ever people were lost, we're it. Now, if I accept Jesus into my heart, I'll get to walk beside him in the kingdom of heaven.
We were discussing the disciples. What color were they?
Well, I don't think we know that for certain.
But they were Hebrews, were they not?
That's right.
As was Jesus. Jesus was also a Hebrew. What color were the original Hebrews?
I have told you that we don't know that for certain.
Then you can't believe for certain that Jesus was white.
Just a moment. God is white. Isn't it obvious?
Well, that is obvious, but we don't know if it's obvious that God is white.
Jesus was black, the Bible would have said so.
But it does say so.
What are you talking about?
His hair is like wool, and his eyes are like flame of fire.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
Because history teaches us that Jesus was born in a region where the people had color. There's proof in the very Bible that you ask us to read in Revelation's first chapter, verse 14 and 15, that Jesus had hair like wool and feet the color of brass.
In America, there was a slave trade. And a lot of the slaves, a very high percentage of them, came from Western Nigerian ports. And in America today, you see a very large movement of African Americans who say that they're the real chosen people, that they're the children of Israel, they're the Judeans. You know, so what are they just trying to create an identity for themselves because they were slaves, or is there really something here? And the answer is most likely there is something there. And most likely, maybe that they were the original Israelites, and maybe that the Jewish people today who are white, Caucasian people came in a little bit later on.
When it came to white, regarding skin color, according to scripture, it was deemed a curse or a punishment.
Furthermore, Yahuwah said to him, "Now put your hand in your bosom." And he put his hand in his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous, like snow. And he said, "Put your hand in your bosom again." So he put his hand in his bosom again, and drew it out of his bosom, and behold, it was restored like his other flesh.
The scriptures talk about Miriam.
So the anger of Yahuwah was aroused against them, and he departed. And when the cloud departed from above the tabernacle, suddenly Miriam became leprous, as white as snow. Then Aaron turned toward Miriam, and there she was, a leper.
Naaman, Gehazi, Uzziah, the Most High cursed them with leprosy.
Therefore the leprosy of Naaman shall cling to you and your descendants